Okay, start my video, Zoom.
So Ash said if I press start the video, your image should come up. So I have pressed start the video, and we've got a black screen right now where you are showing.
Oh, let's forget my image. Let me get right to the black eye. So I do want to say that Ryan and I were talking about it previously, and he sent you the thing. He thinks it's make believe, almost like what Charlie said, the In-N-Out
Yeah.
burger thing. But that's not my take on it. I just promised Ryan that I would say what he thinks. So I so Ghislaine Maxwell is allowed to be visited by her attorneys in jail. This is a privilege that's not extended to any other inmates. So I believe that all of this was sort of, it happened very quickly, right? The photograph was taken, the letter to the judge was sent by Bobby Sternheim, who is Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, to Judge Judith Nathan. And then suddenly, not only did it show up in the New York Daily News and in all the other newspapers, but Ian Maxwell had a well-crafted response. So just like Charlie said, and I think just like Matthew said, and like Brian, everything that Ghislaine does is for show. I want to say that I think, well, you know what? I want to just address the nail clipper thing because I just looked it up. Nail clippers in jail are available for checkout daily. So apparently they can purchase their own nail clippers. So it's possible. But I think that the way that photograph was taken was Bobby Sternheim went to see her, took a photograph of her, and decided, let's just spread this around so that we can prepare the groundwork for her being too frail to attend the any kind of court, whether it's July 12th, which is when we're scheduled to have a trial, or January 2022, which has been floated around. So Ghislaine is pulling what I call the mobster dance. And so I did a video earlier, and I compare her to the head of the Genovese crime family. His name was Vincent Gigante, and he would walk around the West Village wearing a bathrobe, a torn bathrobe, an odd hat, pajamas, slippers. He would be urinating on the street, babbling in public. And he was the head of the Genovese crime family for 25 years. The trick worked. They were never able to get him to either appear in court, let alone be sentenced, right? It ended only in 1997 when the feds were able to get some of the associates to say, well, when he's with us, he behaves like a normal person. So it took 25 years to catch him. So in Ghislaine's case, I believe that she is pulling that trick. I mean, she is associated with a lot of underground characters. Do you think that's a possibility, that that's what she's doing?
Absolutely. I mean, I listened to your video earlier today as well. And for people watching this, I recommend you go to Kirby's channel. I'm on her Patreon as well. And the level of research, the depths that she goes to, absolutely mind-blowing stuff. She has written numerous books on Maxwell, Epstein, and trafficking, and she herself is a survivor, not from the Epstein case, but a very comparable scenario. So Kirby's links are in the description box. Not only is she a brilliant activist raising awareness, but she has helped us out tremendously on this channel in recent months, arranging many of our interviews with other very important figures at the forefront of exposing these heinous crimes. So it's really great that Kirby has joined us. It is an audio only interview for the people in the live chat who are asking Where is the video footage? This is an audio only interview. So watching that video on your channel reminded me of when I wrote the life story of two Tonys, which is
Right.
above me there. That's called The Mafia
Mhm.
Philosopher. And he talks about how the old school mafia guys, because he was a Bonanno crime family associate, would play the court system, play the medical card. Some of them were getting wheeled in wheelchairs with oxygen masks. One even came in on a full hospital bed with the
Oh,
oxygen.
that's funny. That's so I've not heard about the hospital bed, but you know what we have to keep in mind with Ghislaine Maxwell is we have to go back and remember Alexander Acosta's statement about Jeffrey Epstein. He belongs to intelligence. Back off, right? So if Jeffrey Epstein belonged to intelligence, Ghislaine Maxwell automatically falls under the same category. And then we have that other aspect. We have her father, Robert Maxwell, who is Israel's super spy. But I want to talk about the black eye because I'm a woman and I have the woman's perspective on why her eyebrows look so great. Although I've never done it because I have beautiful eyebrows, by the way. But I want to say that she does not have a black eye. It's just a bruise and it could be an allergy. So I did the research. You know how deeply I research. I was researching how does somebody get a black eye like that? It's not a black eye. It could be an allergy and it's kind of like a bruise or just a discoloration. And the reason that happens is because there's either too much salt in the diet, there's an iron deficiency, she's getting older. Hello, ding, ding, ding. She's getting older. So her skin is thinning. It could be just that. And by the way, her attorneys and herself, she keeps complaining about lack of sleep. Well, her eyes, if you look at that photograph, she does not look sleep deprived to me. Does she look sleep deprived to you? I don't think so.
No,
Right?
she just looks like she's got very well manicured eyebrows.
I know. So the eyebrows. Okay. Eyebrows a long time ago because she's 60, almost 60. So in those days, if you had, remember, her father was known for like the bushiest eyebrows on the planet. People would talk to him and they, oh, Mr. Eyebrow is coming over. So what Ghislaine Maxwell must have done, because she had a unibrow, was she did electrolysis. So she never had to do maintenance again. You do electrolysis. I don't know how many months or years you have to do that, but she did that. Now she's lost some weight. So she has not had her Botox, right? She's not had her fillers. She hasn't had her lip fillers. But other than that, frankly, she looks fine to me. She looks very well rested.
So what you're saying then, if I'm getting this correct, is we've seen all these motions come in talking about the horrendous jail conditions and the toll that's taking on her physical and mental health. So to back that up now, she has to become that character who is a
Yes.
victim of human rights violations. And by becoming that character, she is changing her physical appearance to play the medical card.
100%. And by the way, you just had Andrew Bustamante on your show, and he talked about what an intelligence asset, in his case, the CIA, those three levels that they have to change your appearance. He talked about level one, you just change your clothing, you put on a cap or something and just your clothing. Ghislaine is at level two, and he talked about it when you're going to be um, sort of on some kind of assignment where the minimum is 6 months, but it could extend into several years. You change your appearance. How do you do that? You either gain weight, you lose weight, you do something with your hair. That is what Ghislaine Maxwell has done even before she was arrested. Before she was arrested, people forget that it was in the news that she had gained weight. She had let her hair grow a little longer and she acquired a husband. So, in my opinion, I knew that if she had not gotten arrested at that moment in time from her little getaway, aptly named Tucked Away, um, she was going to flee, because if the authorities, if they were really going to look for her, let's assume for a moment they were really going to look for her, they were going to look for a single woman who looked like Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, they were not going to be expecting a couple, right? Because that's how they purchased the house, as a couple, and a couple who are married, with Ghislaine with longer hair, and she's known to be wearing wigs. When her father had this terrible scandal in London, and after his death, she used to walk around the streets of London wearing a blonde wig because she didn't want to be recognized. So she is not unfamiliar with the tactics of changing her appearance. I'm going to add to this that intelligence agencies like the Mossad, like CIA, they hire magicians. Who was one of Jeffrey Epstein's friends? Magicians, right? We had David Copperfield. They found notes from David Copperfield having called when they raided the house in Palm Beach. David Copperfield was even in the audience at a Victoria's Secret event with all of the rest of these characters. It was amazing. If the FBI were really the FBI, they could have just walked in that day and arrested all of these people. They were all there. So yeah, no, she's just changing her appearance. It's a ploy. She's requested to be allowed to leave, to be granted bail 4 times. She was denied 4 times. And so I would ask everyone to look at patterns. That's how I study this. I look at the patterns, what's happening. And then if because a normal person and even normal attorneys would say, well, we requested bail once. Okay, let's try it the second time. Fair enough. But then you don't do it 3, 4 times. They're doing this, and they know that they've become a nuisance. Like Matthew Steeple said, they're becoming a nuisance to Judge Nathan. They don't care. They don't care because the rules do not apply to Ghislaine Maxwell, who is an intelligence asset. And by the way, I don't believe this is all legit. I think it's going to go sideways. There is going to be no normal trial, in my opinion.
So, just to recap then, for people who've tuned in and haven't seen everything we've discussed tonight, people are asking about the sequence of events that led to this photo getting into the media. So, according to the mainstream media reports, this photo was filed with the court to back up the human rights violations, the physical and mental suffering, and to demonstrate that to the judge. But continuing to read some of the stuff that I started reading earlier, it says here, while Miss Maxwell is unaware of the cause of the bruise, as reported to medical and psych staff, she has grown increasingly reluctant to report information to the guards for fear of retaliation, discipline, and punitive chores. However, there is concern that the bruise may be related to the need for Miss Maxwell to shield her eyes from the lights projected into her cell throughout the night. Sternheim said it would be ironic if Maxwell were put in the shoe, as it would indicate she needs protection from the very staff so intent on protecting her, since she has no contact with anyone but staff. So are they implying then that the lights are getting shone on her so much, she's having to cover her eyes physically so much that is now causing bruising? Is that what her lawyers are trying to say here?
That is the implication, and there are 2 things I want to say about this. They were able to get Allison Nathan, the judge, to ask the facility where Ghislaine Maxwell is being held, which is in Brooklyn, to find out, well, is it true? Is she being subjected to flashlight surveillance every 15 minutes at night? Or other atypical flashlight surveillance? Second question was, if so, what's the basis for doing so? And the third question was, and if so, can she be provided with appropriate eye covering? I was going through the responses on various forums today, and there were some people who were in jail like you. And guess what? They all said, that happens to all of us. We don't, and by the way, because I write so many books, Jeffrey Epstein used to just throw a pair of socks over his eyes and say to whomever he was talking to, okay, I'm going to sleep, see ya. And he would just snore away. So it seems to me they're going to make, because there is that threat, she would not tell the guards how she acquired that. It's just a discoloration. That's all it is. She wouldn't tell them. And so they have said that if she doesn't tell them, that she's going to be moved to a more secure location, which is sort of like a jail within a jail, right? The SHU. So it's the secure housing unit. It's an isolation facility. It's more like maximum security. And, so like but she can't have it both ways. It sounds to me like all she really wants is to elicit the public's pity and to get herself released from jail because of the onerous conditions. So I believe there will be a fifth attempt at getting her out of jail for bail based on all of the stuff that has been presented to the judge, because they don't care to look ridiculous, because they are ridiculous. And if she is allowed to be released, because she's going to flee, we're never going to hear about Ghislaine Maxwell again, because mainstream media barely covers it. It bothers me that they cover it so that she can gain sympathy. No, get sympathy for the victims. That's who are the victims. I left a message on my YouTube video this morning where I talked to Ian, and I said, no. House of Horrors is a term that was used by the victims. You can't use that. And he's calling Ghislaine a victim. No, she's the villain. He's getting the characters mixed up. She is the villain in this story. I hate Ian Maxwell.
Let me just elaborate on that then for the viewers. So Ian Maxwell has been speaking out recently. He's been silent for a very long time, but with the Real Ghislaine campaign, they're trying to humanize the court process by asserting that they need to be there at these hearings instead of it being through cameras, and putting out this website whereby it includes her reading list and updates, etc. So Ian has become quite proactive recently, in recent months. And in response to the bruising of the eye, he said he was shocked that the guards didn't immediately refer her for proper medical care. Instead, they bullied and harassed her, effectively blaming the victim. The simple solution is to review the round-the-clock security camera footage to see what may have occurred. Apart from whatever happened in this house of horrors, I can report that Ghislaine's family and friends continue to support her. We are confident once this is over, it will be the prosecutor who has a proverbial black eye.
But don't you think that just the timing of that perfectly crafted response, everyone saw the photograph just yesterday, and suddenly it went from being part of an exhibit that was given by Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, Bobby Sternheim, to Judge Nathan. From there, it was immediately disseminated to the press, and suddenly we have a rebuttal and a statement from her brother, Ian Maxwell. So I think that it was orchestrated, almost like Ryan said earlier, and like Charlie said earlier, like the In-N-Out burger thing. This is an orchestrated attempt. Everybody was on the same page, right? Ian, we need your statement. the papers, we need you to run this story. Come on, that would not normally happen.
All
Don't
right,
you
so
agree? It would just not happen normally that quickly.
yeah, I agree. And we've got just under 10 minutes left. I'm just going to ask the viewers if they've got any questions for you to put them in the chat. One reoccurring question is, who actually took the photo?
I believe that, and that I'm sorry for not including that in my answer. I believe that because Ghislaine has the ability to have her attorneys come to court, I believe that photograph may have been taken by Bobby Sternheim because it was included in her paperwork.
I see. Okay. So Tom O'Connor has asked, Kirby, do you feel that the survivors need justice or financial compensation, or maybe even both?
I think most people don't understand what her survivors have gone through. Her survivors, some of them have had to go to drug rehab. Some of them were put into mental institutions multiple times. Some of them continue to suffer post-traumatic stress disorder. Some of them were denied the ability to go to school the way a normal person would go to school. Some of them are no longer alive. They continue to suffer even after all of these years. And whether the victim was sexually assaulted one time or multiple times, like Virginia Giuffre, the pain is similar, right? That's not how the compensation has been awarded. It's been awarded depending on how many times were you assaulted, how old were you. These are the factors that have been taken. But I think that they need justice on both levels. Financial compensation to make up for their lack of being able to go to school, prepare themselves for a profession so that they can earn a decent living, and for the pain and suffering and the trauma that they're still experiencing.
Well said. And that's why on this channel, our mission is to end the war on drugs, take all those resources, go after the predators, and prevent the lifelong damage that occurs in these situations, because these predators get slaps on the wrist. They get to get freed after a couple of years. We see this in the UK. And then they just get on with their lives, but the survivors have got to live with these things forever, and it's absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, you live with it until the end of your days. But I want to just, if I may, I think when you were speaking with Matthew, you were talking about names that could not come out, and he said something about the fact that I'm always bringing up Glenn and Eva Dubin. So Glenn and Eva Dubin were, according to Virginia Giuffre, her tester couple, so that when she was taught what to do by Ghislaine Maxwell, allegedly, and Jeffrey Epstein, in how to service someone else before she was passed on to Prince Andrew or Ehud Barak or Leslie Wexner or the long list, or Alan Dershowitz, she was sent on an airplane to a hotel where Glenn and Eva Dubin were staying with their small children. She gave Eva Anderson a regular massage. Eva was pregnant at the time with her youngest child. Glenn was in another room, and they did not care that, and he had that kind of relation. It was more than, the massage word was used for that. Virginia has been very consistent in saying that Glenn Dubin and Eva Anderson Dubin are part of the trafficking. And by the way, the photograph that came out, I believe it was in one of the UK papers with Jeffrey Epstein. If you remember, he had a 9-year-old girl on his lap. You remember that?
Vaguely.
Well, he had a 9-year-old girl on his lap. The face was obscured. The faces of other people were obscured on the plane. It also showed him at a restaurant with a younger child. Well, Shaun, I'm sorry, not Shaun, that's you, but Matthew Steeples ran the story that I gave him, which was based on information I got from Virginia, it was Glenn and Eva's daughter, Selena, who Jeffrey Epstein wanted to remember. He wanted to marry her. And he had that photograph that was taken from his Palm Beach house of a 5-year-old girl with her panties pulled down. So my point is that the people I've talked to, when I've talked to intelligence agents, and I've talked to the children of intelligence agents in different countries, that it is a multi-generational thing, so that this child sex trafficking, this sort of like, you know, we did have the Franklin scandal before this. We had Nick, you spoke to Nick Bryant. So this is not the first time. We had the finders that were connected to the CIA. So this is not the first time. It's just the first time that the public has been able to take a look, because Jeffrey Epstein has been in the news. But this is a multi-generation. It pops up. It never goes away. And I believe that that ties in with why he wanted Selena Dubin to marry him. She is of a different generation, so that they can carry this on. I don't know for this for sure. This is just my take on it. And it is also, it explains why he wanted Baby Ranch. Remember, he wanted not just Virginia Giuffre to have his child, but he wanted Annie Farmer to have his child as well. And that goes to my thinking that, yeah, you keep it in the family, right? And you keep it going through generations, and somebody else takes over the different roles.
Wow. Well, on that dark note, we have reached 7 o'clock here. So if people have watched the live stream this evening, please go in the description box and support the links of our guests. Kirby is very active on Twitter. If you want to send her a message or a question or retweet what she's doing, go over to Twitter. You will find her there. And is there anything you would like to say in conclusion, Kirby, to the people watching this?
I hope we get justice. The only way that we have a chance is we have to keep talking about it. We have to demand it. We have to say no more Bill Barr type tactics, no more gatekeepers. We need transparency. It doesn't matter if this is an intelligence operation. We need transparency, and we're all taxpayers, all of us from different countries, and they work for us. We just need transparency. We can't allow Ghislaine Maxwell to continue to pull the wool over our eyes, and we can't allow the people in power to continue to do that. We have to hold them accountable.
And the sad thing about the Franklin scandal is that the victims ended up being the only ones who went to prison. But thanks to people like Matthew Steeples, Charlie Robinson, Kirby Sommers, and all of their supporters, we are certainly not going to let anything like that happen this time around. So hope you guys watching have enjoyed this evening's impromptu broadcast. Huge thank you to all the new subscribers. And like I said, all the links for the various guests are in the description box. Subscription logo also is in the corner of the screen. So thank you very much for coming on at such short notice, Kirby.
My pleasure, Shaun. Thank you for inviting me.
You have a great rest of your evening then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.